reaction to the announcement today, the task force, the Office of Drug Control?
Well, I'm very excited. Anytime our governor, Ron DeSantis, is going to make an announcement, everybody better put their seatbelts on because things move very, very quickly. So we know that the greatest responsibility of any civilized society is to protect and preserve human life. And we know that the opioid epidemic is taking 17 people away from us daily. These are people who are not bad people. This isn't a situation of trying to take somebody who is bad and make them good, but rather take somebody who is sick and make them well. We know that 80 to 85% of the people who are addicted to opioids were at one time legally prescribed a drug for a legitimate injury. So these are not people that stereotypes have them living under overpasses and starting with more entry-level drugs. These are our military veterans, these are our athletes, these are our brothers and sisters and our family members. The additional money will help us combat and treat this disease is what it is. So we're very, very excited about it. We also recognize when it comes to substance abuse, many times there are co-occurring issues. Mental health and the mental health funding and substance abuse funding is something that Governor DeSantis, his team, and our Attorney General have high on their list of priorities. On day one, Attorney General Ashley Moody put together an opioid working group, and she wanted a written documentation and proposal of 17 to 20 experts across the state. I was privileged to chair that committee and to provide a written recommendation. So the Office of Drug Control is something that is absolutely needed to connect all stakeholders that are involved in this process at the local, state, and federal level. I was in a meeting with the governor earlier today and his team, and I made the observation that there's not one of us that's smarter than all of us. And the collective IQ of a group is always greater than one individual. So getting all of our stakeholders together to address and combat addiction is an important factor of what we're going to do. While at the same time, using all of the powers in the criminal justice system to hold those drug dealers accountable. In Seminole County alone, we've charged more than 13 people in partnership with our state attorney, charged more than 13 people with first-degree murder for dealing deadly doses of either fentanyl, carfentanil, or illegal drugs. And that's something that we will continue to kind of move forward. So as we treat the sick, we also want to make sure that the drug dealers are held accountable and responsible to the fullest extent of the law.
You mentioned losing 17 people a day. Is that in the state of Florida alone?
Well, that's in the state of Florida. Let me give you a comparison here in Seminole County. In Seminole County, there is anticipated close to 600 overdoses that occurred last year. And I really think that that number is underreported. Some people have gone to the hospital, and look, it's not something that is prideful to talk about, that a family member or a loved one has overdosed. So I think that there's underreporting going on. There were more than 400 deployments of naloxone or Narcan by law enforcement officers, and there were 82 deaths in 2018. So you put that in perspective, 82 deaths. If you take every single act of gun violence and every vehicle crash resulting in a death in Seminole County for that same year, you're less than half of the people who we've lost through this opioid addiction. Now, I've been at the sheriff's office for 27 years, and I've been through wildfires and hurricanes and tornadoes and all these natural disasters. Nothing has presented a greater threat to our population than this opioid epidemic. Didn't occur overnight, but now we're going to clean it up, and we're going to provide people with the help and the assistance that they need on all fronts. And the only way we can do that is to have all of the stakeholders together, collaborating and sharing best practice information. Attorney General chairing this drug task force for the state, and working with the state and federal partners across the country is going to make a tremendous impact on our community. And she will be in lockstep with the Office of Drug Control out of the governor's office. So we're very, very excited about this. Anytime you can take more funding and throw at a problem like this, it's a wonderful thing.
So when you talk about linking up all these different levels, are we talking about, is it opening up more opportunity for more funding to do some of these things that we're talking about? What is that really going to allow you all to do about linking these agencies?
Well, funding is important because, you know, if you treat this as a disease like it is, there needs to be medical assisted treatment. So when you look at the three most popular forms of medical assisted treatment, it's methadone, which is very popular, Suboxone, and Vivitrol. And people don't realize that for the underinsured or uninsured, it's difficult for them to get access to this type of drug to block the opioid receptors in the brain. If you went in, you had a heart condition, you had other types of more widespread and acceptable illness, you're going to get a regimen that deals with medication and treatment and all of that. You know, I've made the observation here in Seminole County, the #1 predictor on whether or not you will overdose and die is whether or not you've overdosed and lived. But up until this point, there have been people who have overdosed and have been revived with Narcan multiple times. They end up in the hospital, and when their clinical issues are treated there, they're ultimately released back into the same environment that they overdosed in the first place. What we're doing now is we send response teams out to the hospital room and try to navigate that course of recovery for the individual that's there, as well as their family. So we're very excited about some of these new initiatives. We're gaining some great momentum and great support. In a time where it seems like everything is bipartisan and people are walking down party lines and they're pointing fingers back and forth, I have not met one person, not one, that was not willing to lend a hand in support from both sides of the aisle. And that's what's so exciting about this. This is something that we can all rally behind and protecting and preserving human life. And I'm very excited that the governor and our attorney general are wholeheartedly supportive of that.